Yes, a second straight Victory Monday live show here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. I am fired up to be here to talk about the 2-2 Chicago Bears heading into the bye week. Plenty to discuss here on today's show. So thanks to everybody for hanging out with us here on a Monday, a Victory Monday, which is obviously always very, very nice. If you're still excited about the win, get those dubs in the chat. Cullen, it's always nice after a win. It's even better after two wins. Much needed two wins after the first couple of weeks of the season. So kind of feel like you can hit the reset button here and let it rip after the bye week.
Yeah, welcome in. Back-to-back Victory Mondays. Pretty sweet thing to say. Yeah, I think, listen, that the Bears yesterday, we talked about it all week leading up to it. It was never going to be pretty. It was never going to be your conventional NFL Sunday, which it never seems to be for the Chicago Bears, if I'm being honest. But that one specifically with some, injuries they were dealing with going into the game. No Kyler Gordon, no Darnell Wright, et cetera, et cetera. The fact that, again, there was multiple turnovers throughout the game. And the Bears, again, came down to the final minute. Their special teams ended up clutching up. Josh Blockwell blocking the kick for Daniel Carlson. And here we are, 2-2, Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I said before the year you got to get to at least 2-2. You would have preferred at least one of those to be against one of the divisional opponents. Certainly, week one is a tough one, but you got to 500. That was to me the minimum of where you needed to be if you wanted to have a chance to be a playoff team this year. So you're there. Hopefully, get some guys healthy here and get ready for Washington in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks from today. So they got 2 full weeks because they don't play until Monday Night Football in week 6 to get some guys back, to make the adjustments needed on both sides of the football. So hopefully they're able to find some solutions in the areas that they are struggling, RE running the football and RE stopping the run. Certainly that will be important. So we'll see if they can do that. Shout out to Straight Smoke, Robert, Chris O'Neill, Tim, everybody else. We'll get to these super chats in a minute as well. Shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are tuning in to the program for, as we are excited to be here. Of note, just programming note, I am out Wednesday through Sunday. My brother-in-law is getting married, so no live show Thursday. Obviously no game this week, so this will be our only live show of the week. We will have content every day, at least one video a day. Filming a bunch of stuff here today and tomorrow. I'll probably film 1 or 2 videos while I'm gone as well when I get some downtime, but did just want to pass that along for the upcoming week. If something crazy happens and I'm unable to film, Cullen, the guys in the office can have you guys covered, but we'll be sure to keep you guys up to date. So
yeah, we might get the return of Moose in a certain situation. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, last time I was away from the office / my at-home studio, Ryan Poles got extended, which that's been polarizing, obviously, but the boys had it handled, so we are good.
We'll have you guys covered. Don't worry.
We got Denny in Grand Rapids. Oh boy, we got a boom coming in from.
We'll start with that just because it's.
Get the booms in the chat.
Get the booms in the chat. Yeah, we'll start with the man, the myth, the legend.
Brian, Baron of Steel Land. Bringing the boom.
Did we see you yesterday?
I don't think we saw him yesterday.
Brian
so
maybe
he's feeling a little FOMO.
I mean, a little bit.
Wants to come hang out. So
we felt the FOMO.
Shout out to the guy Brian. We appreciate him.
We'll get him on screen,
but
get
him and all our other super chatters in here momentarily.
Yeah, I mean,
Ryan Poles was waiting for you to leave town so he could sign. I don't know if that's the case, but that did happen. I was actually in town, but I was at a water park. I was unavailable to film at that moment in time. But you know who seems to always be available? It's our guy, Brian, Bear to Steel Land. Boom! Brian, we got our new Bears Now Helmet Hall of Fame, which we'll be sure to have on the next live show. You will get a sticker on that one, the first sticker on the new Bears Now Hall of Fame helmet. So shout out to Brian. Appreciate it. He says, I love it. Green Bay without Parsons. 2-0. Give it up at average 15. Well, Parsons played the first 2 weeks. Maybe you don't mean 100% Green Bay with Parsons. Giving up an average of 26.5 points. It's a great return for 2 first-round picks. And Kenny Clark, cheese heads. Yeah, I mean, again, Parsons did play those first 2 weeks, but he wasn't full throttle. So, Yeah, I mean, did we overvalue the Packers those first 2 weeks? Certainly possible. They lose to the Browns of all teams last week, and then last night without CeeDee Lamb, Dallas hangs 40 on their head. So it's a shame Dallas couldn't close that game out. That would have helped the Bears out. But if you told me before kickoff they would tie, I probably would have taken that too because I expected Green Bay to win that game. So certainly an interesting night in Dallas.
Can we get the FGBs down below for our guy Brian?
Get the FGBs going. Come on.
Let's go.
Get the FGBs going. Shout out to Brian. TJ says, what are some realistic edge rushers we could trade for? 2-2, not a bad start. Make the wild card. We have a lot of potential. Where's the homie Horowitz? Not sure. Oh, there he is.
Oh,
he just dropped an FGB in the chat.
This is obviously the first super that's in, and he has arrived. He is here.
Horowitz is hanging out. I don't know. I mean, if the Dolphins keep losing, does Jalen Phillips become available? That's a name that's been thrown out there. Would the Saints trade Carl Granderson? That's a name Cullen mentioned this summer. That was a good pull. Do the Giants kind of hang Kayvon Thibodeaux out there and try to get a receiver? We're going to talk about the Kayvon DJ Moore swap that's been, kind of mentioned out there. I'll give my thoughts on that later on in the show. But, yeah, I don't know right now, TJ. Austin Booker, I'm guessing the Bears want to see what he can do coming off short-term IR before making a big splash, but assuming he does come off short-term IR week 6, which I would guess he does. But, yeah, it's a little early. We don't know. We're too far out from the deadline for probably a big name to get moved at edge, but certainly something to keep an eye on. Aaron, your final projection was 10-7 and 2-2 at the bye. Does that still hold? And do you think we still split with Green Bay this year? I mean, with the Bears playing better the last 2 weeks, Green Bay slipping a bit, I think the split's definitely on the table. Green Bay's probably been a little better overall. Collins, he's doing the sweep motioning there. That would be nice. I think 10-7's possible. I mean, they're still going to have to get better in some areas. I mean, it's not very often, Colin, you win a game where you rush for 69 yards and 2.7 yards per carry while giving up 240 on the ground and 7.7 yards per carry. I know you got a bunch of picks from Geno, but you get outgained on the ground by almost 200 yards. It's like almost impossible to win. So like if they don't clean up, if the running game doesn't improve and the run defense doesn't improve, I'm not even talking about being great, but like just not like literally one of the worst in the league, it caps you as a team. I mean, you can only be so good in that circumstance.
Yeah, you nailed it when we were talking about it on our morning VOD here on Bears Now. I mean, the Bears stink at not only rushing the ball, but defending the run as well. I mean, they are
it's a tough combination,
great.
Man.
That is not a successful formula if you're trying to win football games. And look, I mean, at least for one side, and we'll get to the second part of this because we were talking in the bullpen before we went live. First part, right? Like either A, give Kyle Monangai more carries, or B, trade or sign maybe a running back that becomes available. I think that could be a potential solution for the running back worries. My whole thing is the rush defense. That's one of those areas, at least for me, Harry, like coming into the season, I didn't think the Bears would have to worry about. They invested so much into that defensive tackle room. And again, not all those guys are primarily run stoppers, but even then, Montez Sweat, Dio Dangbo, I figured those guys were kind of bigger defensive ends that could set the edge. Like, rush defense, I didn't think would be a problem for Chicago, and so far through 4 games, kind of has been
worse than the NFL. Dead last in rushing yards allowed. Yeah, I mean, we knew something had to give. Genty was averaging 3.1 yards per carry. Bears were allowing 5.5. That went the Raiders' way. So, I will say for the rushing offense, Ben Johnson in his presser today took some ownership. Said he's got to do some things better. Said it's not all on DeAndre Swift. So, he is seeing some things that go beyond the running back, and I think it's certainly not all on Swift. There are plays, and we've talked about this, Colin, where Caleb turns around to hand the ball off, and Swift is getting hit quickly after the handoff. I mean, there's not much you can do in those situations. Now we know Swift leads yards on the table. That's just part of it, but. I think what he is saying is I don't think this is as simple as just you upgrade the running back and everything is fixed. Some of it's probably schematic. Some of it's probably maybe this offensive line is better in pass pro than run blocking. Maybe, for whatever reason, everyone hasn't been in sync on run play. It's probably a combination of stuff, but
yeah.
at the same time, I still would like to see, like, hey, can just trying your other running back more lead to a spark, even if it's not as simple as that? Like, I would like to see Monungai get more chances. So we'll see what happens after the bye week. I mean, I think this is a rare good time to have an early bye. One, the Bears have been banged up early in the season. And two, even though they've won 2 straight games, there are still troubling trends with this team that have to get cleaned up if they want to push for, like I said before the year and Aaron said, being a 10-win type of team. So good news is you're 2-2 and you're still identifying areas where clear improvement's needed. So it's much better to do that at 2-2 than 0-4 or 1-3. So
yeah, I also made that the poll question here in the live chat. Are you happy that the bye week is here? Happy or unhappy? So we got 84 to 16, 85, 15%. Kind of split here, and I think, yeah, there you nailed it. I mean, the fact that the Bears are this kind of beat up, they were able to get kind of a tough, gritty win on the road. Like, it's a pretty good week to have a bye. So, obviously, it's here now, and we'll see what changes come out of it. Again, that offensive line, I mean, it could look potentially a little different coming out of.
Yeah, Ben Johnson had some comments on that. I'll save some of that for the first segment because we're going to talk a lot about the offensive tackle situation, but just to paraphrase, he essentially said, yeah, we're going to look at all 4 games. We're not ready to, announce some permanent situation at left tackle. So I think a couple things are true. One, I think they want to get Ozzy Trapillo on the field, and they've kind of shown us with their actions they don't think he's ready to do that at left tackle. So that means if they're going to roll with him, it's going to be at right tackle. So what happens at left tackle? Do you put Darnell Wright over there, who, to my knowledge, didn't get any reps at left tackle? We know his second to last year at Tennessee, he played left tackle before moving him to right tackle for his last year of college ball. He was much better at right tackle. Now, is that just a result of being a year older? Can he make the switch? Tristan Wirfs a couple years ago made the switch. It was seamless. Now, this is in the middle of the year. He also has an elbow issue right now, so I mean, does Darnell Wright end up being a backup? I mean, I would find that hard to believe. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that tackle combination. TJ, the NFL really needs to do away with the tie. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not fun when you watch a 4-hour game and it ends in a tie. At the same time, I think the college overtime rules are too gimmicky for the NFL.
It also just like unrealistic given the fact that like players with the injury concerns and like the risk going week to week, like health-wise, like if the NFL did like a 7 overtime game like there has been in college football, like there'd be bodies dropping left and right. And the NFL just wouldn't be able to – I don't think it would be good for the NFL. And the
I think the only way you could really get rid of ties in the NFL is if you just say kickers are eliminated after the 4th quarter. So you either have to punt or go for 4th downs. And if you punt, obviously, if the next team scores a touchdown, then the game's over. But even then, it's like, what if they don't score? What if neither team scores? Which that's happened plenty of times in NFL history where you play a full overtime and no one scores. It's like, I don't know what you do. Like, I mean,
what if you got rid of kickers and punters?
Like, this is yeah, you just have to go for it no matter what.
The only time the kicker is allowed to be on the field is the opening kickoff of the overtime. So you get to set, the initial kickoff, and then after that, no punters, no kickers.
Yeah, I mean, that's an option.
Because then, if you want to hypothetically punt, you could do
both teams get a possession no matter what? Still,
I don't see why not.
Yeah. I just think the only problem I have with that is the team who gets the ball second has a massive advantage. Because if you get if they have to go for a 4th down inside their own 30 and they don't get it, the game's basically over. So, I don't know what the perfect fix is. People are like, well, what if you do some kind of just like, because what I don't want is like a penalty shootout ending like you see in soccer. I hate the new college football 2-point conversion off.
Like
you play for 4 hours and then you're alternating 2-point conversions. Like that's stupid. So yeah, I don't know what the fix is. I mean the fix is, if you don't care about fatigue and player safety and that carrying over into the next week, is, well, you just go to a second overtime. Like that's how it was forever ago. But yeah, I don't know what you do. There's no easy solution, unfortunately. Michael Horowitz with the bear down. Shout out to Horowitz. You're getting our signed Singletary jersey, Mike. You were the MVP yesterday. Just some guy says, think the Bears trade for a running back during the bye. I would doubt during the bye, especially seeing Johnson's comments saying it's not all on Swift. There's a lot of issues with the run game right now. So I think they're going to try to fix this in-house, at least for now. I would imagine if they come out of the bye week, let's say 2 games, and it's more of the same, just they haven't improved as a running offense, then I think that mid-October it becomes more realistic. A, you're closer to the deadline, so guys start to become available, and B, well, that's 6 games of data at that point that you're working with. So I would doubt they make a trade during the bye unless it's some small move, but you never know. We'll see. Sis Lover, who's got final say in draft picks going forward? I think it's a collaboration. I don't know. I mean, I think Ben Johnson has more overall power in the organization, but I also think, like, he's still leaning on, like, the scouts, and, like, it's not like he's running the scouting department. Like, he's not traveling to these college games weekly, watching tape and all of that. That's what polls and the scouts are doing. So I think it's a collaborative effort, like, they retrieve that information, they share that with Ben and the staff. That's my guess. But, on literal draft day, Ben probably has a decent amount of pull, but he's also probably leaning on those guys because they're putting in the legwork, like 12 months a year. Like, the head coach isn't watching a shit ton of college football during the season. Like, he's probably watching a little. Like, he might catch, like, the primetime Saturday night game or something like that. But it's not like he's sitting there watching 12 hours on Saturday. Like, there's still game prep for the next game. Cody, good, better, best. Love it. Love it. Michael again in Urbana. Shout out to Michael. Big win for the Illini, Horowitz. Michael says me and Cullen should fill in. If there's breaking news, we'll get you on speed dial, Michael. Carl of RNG says, is Jones done as the starter at left tackle? We will talk about that. And how do you grade Ozzy and Theo? Do you trust them going forward? My thing is, like, I know some people are down on Darnell Wright, Cullen. Mm-hmm. I still think he's your best offensive tackle right now by a fairly wide margin. Don't get me wrong. The pre-snap penalties have to stop. Like, you're going to have one every once in a while, but 6 penalties in 3 games is unacceptable, and I think 4 of those are pre-snap. So, like, that's got to be eliminated. But from just like a snap-to-snap standpoint, he is your most consistent and talented tackle by a fairly wide margin. Yes. Now, you took Ozzy Trapillo in the second round. That's a guy you want to become a starter, but they kind of bailed on the left tackle thing, at least for now. So I don't think all of a sudden in the bye week they're going to say, okay, Ozzy, you're our starting left tackle moving forward. Now, are they going to do that with Darnell? Because, like, to me, in a perfect world, those 2 guys are your starting tackles because you've invested the most in them. But who's the left tackle? That would be my question. So I'm not really sure how they're going to handle all this. It's going to be very, very interesting because Braxton is who he is. He's what I would call a serviceable player. And Theo, I think he's shown he's a valuable swing tackle, but I think we saw yesterday, like, full-time starter, he's probably not ready for that. So I don't know. It's not an easy situation. Now, if you told me, Harrison, Darnell's going to flip to left tackle and he'll be 10% less than what he is at right tackle right now. Maybe long-term he grows, learns, gets natural at that position. Would you take that 10% less of current Darnell Wright at left tackle and Ozzy at right? That might be your best combination. Like, that's what they got to figure out. I think during the bye week and the next couple of weeks, I would get Darnell some reps at left tackle, and if they feel like he's at least good enough over there, I think there's a world where they flip him to left and Ozzy plays right. I just wish they would have at least done a little bit of this in camp. I think that's where the regret is, Cullen, is like they didn't even try this in camp. And look, they thought out of Ozzy, Karan, Theo, and
Ozzy, Karan, Theo, and
Braxton Jones. Yeah. One of them would like emerge as like the obvious starter, and it just didn't happen. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and offensive line, I mean, you can make the argument out of every unit on a football team, like, it needs the most cohesion, chemistry, all that stuff. So, like, if they're going to figure this out, like, they need to do it during the bye week because it gives you at least enough kind of a buffer to, like, hey, give Darnell some practice snaps, see what he looks like at left tackle, like you mentioned. Also see what Theo Benedet, Ozzy Trapillo, those guys look like. I will say this. Braxton, to me, I'd be shocked if he's the week 6 starter.
I mean, the fact that they took
be
him
shocked.
out and it was kind of vague if he was banged up or not, and then like it'd be one thing if they wanted to get Ozzy some snaps, Theo struggling early, and you just swap those out, but they put Theo at left tackle.
Yeah.
So like that kind of signals to me, and we have yet to hear if there was an injury there, so that tells me that there probably wasn't, at least not a severe one, that they wanted to play Ozzy, and instead of taking Jones out, they put Theo on the left side. So
that
Ben
speaks never came out and was like, or Ben didn't come to Braxton's defense immediately. It was like, oh, hey, Braxton was dealing with an injury. We want to be precautious heading into the bye week. Like, if he came out and said that could be one thing. But, I mean, at least I haven't seen any defense of Braxton either. So,
I mean, he hasn't, like, buried him or anything. But like, you would think, like, hey, what was with the offensive tackle shuffling? Yeah, Braxton got banged up, and Ozzy's more comfortable on the right side, so we moved Theo to left. That was not said. What was said was we knew Ozzy would probably play in this game. Now, you could argue the media did a poor job and said, well, how come Braxton went out of the game and Theo went to left? That would be my question. But then Ben says today that basically it's they're going to look at all 4 games, and they're not ready for an answer right now. It's all pretty interesting, too, because Braxton's best game was last week. So, like, if coming off his best game, they still aren't happy with where he's at, then I also wonder, too, if there's a little big picture thing going on, too, where it's like he's in a contract year. They've already determined they're not going to pay him, which I don't know what he would cost in the open market, but even average left tackles make, 10, 12 million a year. Like Cam Robinson got 13 or whatever. He just got traded for a late round pick swap. I think they're like, well, he's not our long-term answer. So if all things are equal, if they're all kind of in the same tier, let's try some guys who are going to be here beyond this year. That's kind of what I'm wondering if what's happening here. So, we'll see how it goes moving forward. But, yeah, I mean, it's possible Braxton's days are numbered in Chicago. Cornelius, we should trade for Raheem Mostert. Looked good yesterday. Be an interesting buy low trade target.
You wouldn't give a lot for a guy who's plus 30.
It'd be a late round swap.
Yeah. He also kind of is similar to Swift in that he's like an, finesse back. He does provide a home run hitting speed similar to DeAndre Swift. Yeah. So like the perfect complement to DeAndre is somebody that's not a horrible athlete that can run between the tackles with confidence. That can also probably extend plays, extend runs through physicality, and that's ultimately kind of the, build that you need.
Yeah, like if you bring Mostert in, are you just like replacing DeAndre? Because I don't think Mostert's so good where you'd be like, yeah, we'll just push. That means Monungai's out of the mix now. Like Swift hasn't shown enough to just have Monungai out of the mix. So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do there. That's going to be interesting. One thing I do feel confident in is unless Swift plays a lot better, he will not be on this team next year. I don't think he'll be on this team. He's out of guaranteed money on that contract. Posey, HG, a win is a win. No way they pull this game out last year. Caleb still improves every game, which is what the season's about. Please stop blaming the running backs for the poor performances. It's the O-line horrible play from them. Well, I think it's a combination. I think it's a little bit of everything. Also, I think I've consistently said, Colin, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's felt like to me this year that the pass protection has been better than the run blocking. Like I think they're holding up better in pass pro than they are in run blocking, which does surprise me a little bit because a guy like Drew Dahlman historically is a better run blocker than pass protector. Jonah Jackson kind of the same, so it is kind of interesting that that's been the case. But I think it's a little bit of everything. At the same time, there is some deep analytical data that tells you that DeAndre Swift is leaving yards on the table. Like, we know he's not a great vision back, but at the same time, there's been a lot of plays where he's getting hit in the backfield. It's like, well, what do you want him to do? So, I think it's a combination.
It's a combination, but also, too, like, when you're comparing, like, an individual where DeAndre Swift's getting the bulk of the Bears' carries, so naturally, like, for the running back room, you're going to look at him versus the offensive line as a whole, as Harry mentioned. Like, yeah, every once in a while, you'll see Drew Dahlman kind of, whiff on a play, or Jonah Jackson or whomever, right? Darnell's pre-snap penalties and stuff. It is probably both. In fact, it definitely is both in terms of offensive line and the running backs in terms of this rushing attack not going. But I think in general, like Swift there's no metric out there, or there's no defense out there, at least in my opinion, that Swift's clearly like deserving of having this bell cow like role that he's been given, and that even if the offensive line was playing stellar, I don't know if
Would
he's the
he
guy for the job.
ask yourself this question, Posey, and everyone else: does he get this bulk of the snaps and carries for any other team in the NFL? There might be a couple, but like. Now, I do think he has a notable role on a lot of teams, but we said that all offseason. In a 1-2 punch, Swift can be effective. But when he's getting 80% of the touches, it's like, he just hasn't really been effective enough to earn that.
Yeah. He also he just super chat. He says, wasn't talking about you on the old line comment, LOL. But
No, I got you, Posey. It's a group. We're all chatting here, so. But yeah, I think it's just. I think it's a combination of things, but I think it's also fair to say, like, DeAndre Swift's like a fringe starting running back. I said it all offseason. Ideally, you upgrade, and he's part of a 1-2 punch. Or at least get a number 2 you feel really good about, and that could eventually grow into a number 1. Maybe Monangai becomes that, but, like, he is a 7th-round rookie. Like, for him to expect him to hit the ground and just take a job. Now, I want to see him more, but, like, I think the Bears are telling you that he's not ready for a major role right now. Appreciate the follow-up, though, Posey. TJ, FGB Horowitz should be on the live show with some point. We had him on last year. We will have him on again. He wants to raffle off some Bears-Packers tickets as well. We'll make that happen. With me going out of town, kind of made it tough this week, but we'll find a week that works, and we will do that. Posey, also the content on the Ben Johnson effect was fire. Appreciate that. Got a lot of good feedback on that episode, so that was a lot of fun. I like doing shows like that are just kind of different. So if you guys want more of that content, let me know. Dennis, we'll rip through a couple more here, then we'll hop into the content and keep the questions flowing in. #Bears Super Chats. We have 2 mailbags today with me going out of town. We're going to rip 2, so we'll answer all your questions. Dennis says, something you said always stuck with me. There's QBs you win with and QBs you win because of. Yesterday was just that. Reminded me of the Hail Mary game. Bad offense, but Caleb finds a way on the final drive. Look, one thing you cannot dispute about Caleb Williams, 21 games into his NFL career, he's pretty clutch. Now, it hasn't always resulted in a win for a lot of reasons. You give up the Hail Mary to Jaden Daniels. The coach, and listen, Caleb takes a small chunk of blame of what happened in Detroit at the end, but he's a rookie. Like, the coach needs to take control of that situation and take a timeout. With that situation last year, playing it conservative against Green Bay, settling for a long field goal that gets blocked. Caleb drove him down in that situation. There were a couple other instances last year where down the stretch he puts them in position they can't finish. I think I know last year statistically his best quarter was the fourth quarter. So, like, he's always risen to the occasion in tight games in the fourth quarter, but it was very up and down leading up to the fourth quarter, right? I think this year he's been a little better throughout the course of the game. Now, yesterday it was more of a, average at best first half, really good second half, but, every game's going to be different. But one thing that he has shown is the moxie, the confidence, and the calmness in these big spots in the fourth quarter to go get it done. And he did it again yesterday. Drove him down, got a methodical drive, had a couple nice scrambles, 4 for 5 passing, boom, touchdown. Give yourself the lead with less than 2 minutes to go. Like, we've seen him do that. He did it twice in Washington last year. Waldron screwed him on the one with the Kramer play call, but he even overcame that and drove him down again and scored. So he's done this several times now. This isn't some new development. So. Zane Gray, what about current NCAA overtime rules in the NFL? I think it's good for college, but I don't love the idea of giving an NFL offense the ball on the 25, especially with how good these kickers are. I mean, that's a chip shot. So you're already given 3 points. I think it works for college. I even don't like now, though, that starting after 2 overtimes, it's the alternate.
The 2-point conversion.
I get it if it goes like 5 or something. Okay, you got to end the game. But, like, there was something magical about those occasional games that would go forever. Right. Like, for college football, I love that. For the NFL, I don't love just starting at the 25. I mean, if you wanted to, like, start at the 50 or something, like, okay. But I just I don't think – I'll put it this way. If there was a perfect solution, it would be out there by now. I do like that both teams get a chance, but I also understand the argument of we don't want this to be some triple overtime hockey type of game that lasts 6 hours. So
no kicking after the kickoff. It's going to be my –
I don't hate it. Kickers and
not
punters
perfect,
put on
but-
ice after the kickoff.
Yep.
Now, I do think in the playoffs you just go –
No, playoffs, yeah, you just play.
yeah, you just play until, both teams get a possession, and then it's sudden death after that. So.
Agreed.
Depressed Bears fan, Darnell needs to work on not getting penalties before we can even consider switching him to left tackle. Look, that's valid as well. Like, it's not like Darnell has been so clean and dominant that it's like, oh, he'll just work at left tackle. I hear you. I'm just telling you that they're having these conversations. They are trying to figure out of Darnell Wright, Braxton Jones, Ozzy, Trapillo, Theo, Benedet, what is their combination going to be? Like, that is what they're trying to figure out. I think Darnell's their best offensive tackle, but if they want to play Ozzy Trapillo, unless all of a sudden they think he can play left tackle, that means that Ozzy's going to play right. So what do you do with Darnell? Is he your left tackle? Is he just a backup? To me, that'd be pretty disappointing if he's just a backup. Like, I would not be a fan of that. Anthony, don't know what the grades were, but Trapillo looked really good while Theo was terrible. Both did not grade well. I think the Trapillo one was a little harsh because I do agree. Once he went in, I thought Max Crosby was at least somewhat neutralized before the last, I'd say the second half of the fourth quarter. He came back to life. But PFF didn't grade him out well, but I'll kind of point out why I think there were some flaws in the grading when comparing him and like Braxton Jones, for example, this week. Edov, our guy. Winter's Monday, and I still called the block field goal. You sure did, Edov. Shout out to Edov.
Name a better duo, Edov and calling game winners.
Hey, beautiful, beautiful. TJ, I think whoever is 0-4 tonight have a fire sale. Yeah, I might do a video tomorrow of, like, whoever loses tonight, do the Bears try and trade for that running back? Devon Achane or Brees Hall. I might do that tomorrow, so be on the lookout. Professor Chibs, do you feel there should be 2 bye weeks to give the guys rest so you could split up a season? 665, 575 or the like, your take. I think when they go to 18 games, it just seems natural to me. Go to a 20-week schedule, and each team has 2 byes, especially if they're going to continue to ramp up these international games.
I have an idea for this, so hear me out if y'all like my idea or not. I think this is how it should work. Once it does go to 18 games, like you said. I think it goes to 18 games. I think week 9 and week 18 should be divisional rivalry week. Like those weeks are specifically filled with division games both those weeks. So middle of the season, end of the season. That after week 9, that week 10, a bye for everybody, and then you spread the other bye across, kind of different, how we do it now.
So just like a mid-season league break for week 10, just no one plays that week.
And then week 1 is the Super Bowl rematch, to open the season, and that's international week. So we open up with international week, so games all across the world, such as Mexico, Ireland, UK, Germany, wherever.
Okay.
So week 1's international week. Week 9 is a divisional week. Week 10's kind of a break for everybody.
All-star break.
Yeah, a little all-star break, whatever.
Go to Cancun.
And then week 18 is also a divisional week, and then you start the playoffs after that.
I assume you mean week 20 then?
Week 20, yeah. The last week, the 18th game for each team,
okay.
Week 20, yes.
I don't hate that. I think the only problem with full international slate week 1 is how do you spread out the TV schedule? You playing in the middle of the night for one of those games?
It's similar to like how the World Cup is, where you just have games just all day.
Well,
potentially.
So because you can't, if you're playing in London, you
Yeah.
can't air at night in America because that's
Right.
3 a.m. in London. So maybe the Australia game is the
yeah.
primetime slot if you go to Australia.
That was just an idea that literally just came to my head now, so I haven't worked out all the details.
Listen, they could play at 3 a.m. Fuck them. I'm just kidding.
No, they definitely have to work it out. But to me, like, if I'm going to 18-week schedule,
18 game schedule.
18 game schedule, Jesus. 18 game, 20-week schedule. I want the first game of the year, I've always said this, I think should be the Super Bowl rematch. I don't care what the circumstances are. That should be the first game to open the season.
Yeah, Thursday night.
And then, I'm obviously down for kind of making rivalries in the NFL mean more. So, like, to have 2 designated weeks of pure divisional games,
That'd be cool, yeah.
I think it'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like that idea. All right, any super chats that have come in, we will get to those on the first mailbag coming up, but we do have to jump into the content here. Hit that like button to help us out. We got 600 people watching live here on Victory Monday. Appreciate everybody for being here. Shout out to everybody who tuned in yesterday, too. One of our better watch parties ever. Obviously, an electric ending, too. So thanks to everybody who supported that. And we will catch up on Super Chats after this first segment. I do want to dive into some of the latest news and rumors, some offensive tackle talk. I think that's a big storyline heading into the bye week, so we will have that covered. 2 mailbags today, so start loading up the chat. Super Chat is guaranteed to go on the show, but also we know not everybody can or wants to donate. We do want to hear from all of you as well. Hashtag Bears to get your questions in as well. And then are the Bears going to get some reinforcements back after the bye week? Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We got John, Peter, Bears Goated, even our friend Don Bird, JJ Allen, Jake Cameron, Professor Chibs. Let's freaking go. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Let's rock. We got a busy episode here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison. Graham is Braxton Jones done, and is Ozzy Trapillo ready? We're going to talk about the offensive tackle situation a lot here on today's show. Should we be concerned about Cole Kmet's performance on Sunday? And a little Caleb Williams talk toward the end of the show as well, so stay tuned for that. Let's start with Braxton Jones. Is he just done? Because it seems like, even though they've kind of danced around the question and haven't been specific, that Braxton Jones was benched in the game against the Raiders. There hasn't been an injury that was mentioned. Ben Johnson had some comments today. I do want to revisit a comment he had after the game on Sunday. He said, quote, "We knew going into the game that Ozzy Trapillo was likely going to get some snaps for us. He's a guy that keeps getting better each and every week. We were at a point where we weren't doing a lot on offense, and we felt like that might give us a spark." I totally understand that reasoning, and especially with Theo Benedet getting worked by Max Crosby, who had an unbelievable start to that game. What is the interesting part of what happened, though, was it's not like they just swapped Ozzy and Theo went to the bench. Theo flipped to left tackle, and Braxton hit the bench. So that certainly caught all of our attentions. Is he hurt? What's going on? There's been no comment of an injury. So is that a signal that Braxton is like on his way out? Now, I will say this before we kind of get to just looking at all the different angles of the offensive tackles for the short term. Is part of this just them knowing, okay, Braxton Jones is serviceable, but he doesn't look quite as good as he did before the injury. Even that version of Braxton wasn't a great player. He's in a contract year. We got to figure out which guys on this roster can be legitimate starting tackles, not only right now, but long term. Like, is that part of this where, well, if there's not a huge gap between Braxton Jones and Theo Benedet, well, Benedet's under contract for multiple years. Do we just see what he can do? Do we explore Darnell Wright at left tackle? We're going to talk about that in a second. The bottom line is, I have no idea who the offensive tackles are going to be moving forward. Now, I do want to get to a comment from Ben Johnson here that I just pulled up on Twitter. He basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, said that we got to look at all 4 games of the tape and evaluate all of our offensive tackles. And he said, I'm not ready to, make some kind of announcement today. So I truly believe that every option is on the table. And I think my main takeaway is they want to get Ozzy Trapillo on the field. So if he can't do that at left tackle, that means it's going to be at right tackle. And then what happens to Darnell Wright? Does Darnell Wright get a look at left tackle? Because to me, and we can complain and we can whine about, he's got too many penalties, and that's certainly true. But it's pretty obvious to me he is your best offensive tackle. And he has played strictly right tackle in the NFL and strictly right tackle his final year at Tennessee. Now, the year before that, he played left tackle at Tennessee, and he certainly has the measurables. He certainly has the athletic profile to do it, but that's a pretty big risk to take, to just say, hey, during the bye week, by the way, you're battling this elbow injury, we're going to flip you to left tackle. Now, I do think the dream scenario long-term would be Darnell Wright and Ozzy Trapillo are your starting tackles, regardless of who's at right or left, but they kind of gave up, at least for now, on the Ozzy Trapillo left tackle experiment. That was evident a month ago, and certainly yesterday when they put him in at right tackle, moved Theo to the left side. So I don't think the solution coming out of the bye is all of a sudden Ozzy Trapillo is the left tackle. I don't think that's going to be the route. If Ozzy Trapillo is playing, I think it's going to be at right tackle. So I want to dive into this a little bit further as well, but I want to ask you guys, if you had to guess, who will be the 2 starting offensive tackles after the bye week once Darnell's healthy, and maybe he's not ready for Washington? All of them are healthy. Who are the 2 starters? And if you want to go above and beyond, let us know which position. Like, is it Darnell at left, Ozzy at right? Is it Braxton at left, Darnell at right? Is it Theo and Ozzy? Like, well, what's the combination? If you had to guess, let me know in the comment section right now. And the question also here is Ozzy ready? Is he ready to be a starter? He played 40 snaps at right tackle against the Raiders, and we'll get to the PFF grades in a moment. They did not grade him out well. But what I will say is it felt like once they made that switcheroo, him at right, bench Braxton, Theo at left, it felt like just from a snap-to-snap basis that Max Crosby's dominance slowed down. Now, in the fourth quarter, he kind of woke back up. He beat Ozzy a couple of times. Caleb had to dip out of a couple of sacks. That's a pretty tough, first matchup, right? Like, you're on an island against Max Crosby in crunch time, and your first start is a second-round rookie. Max is going to beat you a couple of times. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He was just embarrassing Theo on that first drive, which, again, totally understandable. That is a brutal first matchup for the Canadian Eagle. Now, you look at the PFF grades for Ozzy, and again, it's all subjective. I like referencing it because it's at least someone else's eyes kind of giving you at least a data point, but it's not the end-all be-all, especially offensive line play, because it's taught differently for every team, so there's context. It's hard to know what necessarily a win versus a loss is on a rep. But I thought a pass block grade of 30.8 when he only gave up 2 pressures on 26 pass blocking snaps, that's a little harsh, right? And this is where PFF confuses me. Ozzy Trapillo gets a 31 pass block grade when he gives up 2 pressures on 26 pass block snaps. Braxton Jones gives up 2 pressures on 18 pass block snaps. He got a 65.8 pass block grade. So I'm sure there's nuance in here, even on plays where Ozzy didn't give up a pressure, is he getting beat still technically and that type of stuff. It's not a perfect science. I don't pretend to know. But this is where I'd love to get one of PFF's data analysts on the phone and be like, explain this to me, because Jones gave up the same amount of pressures on 8 less pass block snaps. How is his grade more than double better in that category? So I felt like Ozzy held his own. Again, down the stretch, Max got him a few times, especially in one-on-ones, which that's not shocking. But you do wonder how the Bears graded it versus, Pro Football Focus. I'll say this, Kyle Long, I think he knows offensive line play pretty well. He tweeted this out. He said, Ozzy looked patient in his sets and had a plan. When he had help in form of a chip or double team from a tight end, he helped his guard for as long as necessary. Part of the game is understanding where to help. Even more important, when to leave the guy you're helping currently. He seems to get it. Now, what is one thing that the Bears consistently raved about Ozzy Trapillo in OTAs and in training camp between the years? How smart of a player he was. And that's kind of what Kyle Long's alluding to here. He understands when to help out. He understands when to bail off that help and, get back to, maybe the edge defender or something like that. So if he understands what he's supposed to do, that's half the battle. Now, you got to have the physicality, the technique to hold up against these all-world players, which, we'll see if he's able to do that over time. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Bears approach this moving forward. And here's the question. Can Darnell Wright make the switch to left tackle? Can he do that? I think he's got the physical tools to be a left tackle, but on the fly, in the middle of the season, while dealing with an elbow issue, can the Bears reasonably ask him to do this and get a reasonable outcome? I think it would be unfair to say the expectation for him would be to be as good at left tackle on the fly as he is at right tackle. But what if you say, hey, if he can be 90% of the player that he is at right tackle, at left tackle the rest of this season, and then full off season, all at left tackle next year, he kind of ramps up and gets better, would you take that to get Ozzy on the field if Ozzy at right tackle is better than Braxton at left? maybe he would make that sacrifice. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do this because Ben Johnson himself acknowledged today we're looking at it all. So it's going to be very, very fascinating. All right, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. I had a nice 3-player lineup this weekend, and now I'm back for more. A little doubleheader tonight. Prize Picks is the best way to earn money this football season. It's pretty wild, by the way. I'm taking a lot of mores on Bears players, and I mean instead of less, more or less, not DJ Moore necessarily, and it's earning me some money. So offense, baby. Love to see it. Prize Picks, by the way, is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you want to pick more on Caleb Williams' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, you can do so only on Prize Picks. The way it works is simple. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player lineups, and if you hit, you win money, sometimes up to 2,000 times your entry. I got a little 3-player lineup tonight. Justin Fields' longest rush of more than 14.5 yards are playing the Dolphins. Remember a couple years ago, he rushed for almost 200, so I think he's got at least one big run in him. Bo Nix, big game for the Broncos tonight. They cannot fall to 1-3, so I like the more on his passing yards. He's been a little kind of erratic to start the year. Hopefully a get-right game for him. And then Jake Browning was atrocious last week. I'll take the less against Denver's defense. That hasn't looked great this year, but we know is very talented. Less than 217.5. 3-player lineup, $20 entry to win $120. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's talk a little Cole Kmet. Clearly not a good game yesterday. I mean, I tweeted it out before the game-winning drive. I was like, look, they lose this game, it's kind of on Kmet. Like, that's one, if you're him in the locker room, you just got a hand up. Listen, I coughed at us. And, you know, that happens. Even good players have bad games. But, man, this was a lot. It's just like everything happened in one game that was rough, right? Like he had 2 clear drops, the seam shot, which would have set him first and goal at the 5. Who knows? Maybe he breaks a tackle and scores. Dropped a check down later in the game. He failed to catch that scramble drill throw from Caleb. Now, I'm not going to count that a drop, but Caleb threw that in a perfect spot where only Kmet can get it, and I think Cole would tell you that he should catch that ball, so that's 3 plays he could have made. He had 2 false starts, one of which came on a critical 4th and 1 in which they had to then punt the football away. Now, that did turn into a Torrey Taylor bomb that checked or stopped at the 2-yard line, so maybe it worked out for the better because they got the ball back. Maybe you don't get that 4th and 1, but that's not the thinking. Like, you're trying to convert that 4th and 1, and he false starts out of a timeout. So unacceptable play from Cole yesterday. Now, he's an accountability guy. I'm sure he'd be the first to say he did not play up to standard. And I will chalk this up to one bad day, but man, Colson Loveland's not on the field. You're expected to be reliable, if nothing else. And he was not reliable yesterday. So, again, hoping this is just a one-off, no big deal. Cole is a player that you'd like to see make some big plays this season. But that was frustrating, man. I mean, Cole, it was 4 or 5 critical mistakes. I mean, it's not like it was 1 or 2. It was several. So, hopefully he bounces back in a major way. And if I know Cole Kmet, I think he will. All right, guys, round of applause. We've crossed 132,000 subscribers. You guys, the support that you guys continue to show, myself, Cullen, this channel, this company, it's unbelievable. We feel it every day. We talk about it every day. We couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much. We're on the road to 133K. Let's keep this thing rolling here on Chicago Bears Now, free and daily content. Okay, let's just kind of discuss Caleb a little further coming out of this game. I might do a video of just a 1-month check-in with Ben Johnson so far during the bye week here, but let's dive into this performance a little bit further. You know, certainly kind of an uneven game, right? 22 of 37, right around 60%. Okay, 212 passing, a touchdown, and a pick. QB rating of 73, certainly below average there. And then had a couple timely scrambles late, but overall not a lot of production on the ground. We talked about this morning that he was a lot better in the second half and for sure down the stretch, 4 or 5 on that final drive to go win that game. I think the first half wasn't as bad as it looked. I mean, Max Crosby made about 4 individual plays where you're just like, oh my God, like he's everywhere. He's jumping the receiver screen. He's fake blitzing, dipping into coverage, and batting the ball to himself and picking it off. You're just like, I mean, is he the only guy in the league doing that? So I don't think it was like catastrophically bad or anything like that in the first half, but I think Caleb got a little rattled by how good Max was, and it probably led to a couple missed throws later. Kmet drops the ball. It kind of snowballed, right? But to his credit, to the Bears' credit, they found some solutions. That strike to Rome Odunze to take the lead in the third quarter might be the best throw of his career. We'll talk about that in a second, but graded out kind of average, right? 62, just under 70 passing grade. The rushing grade was low because he fumbled the ball in the zone read thing, was lucky to recover it. I think he also got blamed for that snap issue. He got credited with the fumble, so that probably brings the rushing grade down too. 2 big-time throws. I would guess one was the Rome touchdown, and maybe that Kmet incompletion on the scramble drill, even though it wasn't caught. 2 turnover-worthy plays. One was clearly the fumble that he recovered, and then I think the second one, I assume, was when he threw across his body and the ball got batted away. That's just a big no-no, so certainly put the ball in harm's way there. Let's face it, Max Crosby was a maniac yesterday. And sometimes you just – you're kind of in a game and you're like, God, I don't even think Caleb's playing that bad. Like, I just think, like, this dude is just taking over the game. And for the first quarter and a half, that was certainly happening. But, again, they found some solutions. They got a drive late in the half to get another field goal. And then that touchdown pass to Rome really seemed to settle him in. I mean, I think it was third down. It was third down. Raiders brought 6. Hangs in there, trusts the protection, hits the back foot, one hitch. And there's a screenshot going around Twitter right now. When he threw that ball, guys, and he threw it with velocity. I mean, it was a fastball. Rome hasn't even gotten into his break yet, much less like his break starting. He hadn't even gotten to his break. So to trust where Rome's going to be and to throw with that velocity and anticipation, that's a big-time fucking play, man. And it just felt like he got energized after that, and obviously had the late drive as well to go win the game. So even in a game where, like, it wasn't going your way, adversity, I still think overall it was actually a pretty good game by Caleb. So that was certainly encouraging. And again, and you talked about this after the game, to win a game like that when, there's a lot of adversity, I think it's huge, not only for him, but for this team as well. Grade Caleb's overall game against the Raiders, A, B, C, D, or F. I mean, overall, I'd probably give it like a B-. It was good enough. Certainly, it was a little inconsistent at times, but, if a couple balls aren't batted, if Cole makes a couple more catches, I mean, is he 26 of 37 for like 285 instead of 212? I mean, that stat line could have looked a lot better if a couple things kind of just bounced differently. All right, there you have it. Our latest news and takeaways here. This offensive tackle situation, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see kind of what conclusion they come to over the next couple of weeks. We'll monitor it all. My name is Harrison Graham. Hit that subscribe button. And as always, bear down. All right, hashtag Bears Super Chat. If any supers came in, Colin, that aren't really mailbag-centric, we can knock those out. But otherwise, we can just put them on the mailbag. That's certainly fine.
I was thinking the exact same thing as you, Harry.
Like Caleb and Rome, just on the same page.
I thought you were going to say piss missile there at the end.
Piss missile, fastball. You got to pick your spots.
I mean, it's true.
The Cole scramble drill, I mean, that's a piss missile. Now, don't get me wrong. The Rome one was that was a piss missile as well. But
right.
a couple piss missiles yesterday.
All right, let's see. All right, this one we can go ahead and answer now. This is from Zermi. It says, how about that Torrey Taylor punt late third quarter? Special teams killed it yesterday. Bear down. FGB until the day I die.
I mean, that was huge. I mean, again, you didn't want a false start and punt there, but for that ball to check up like that and to get the 3 and out, get the ball back, that was a good moment. Torrey needed an impactful punt. There really hadn't been one so far this year, so that was good for him to flip the field like that, have that ball check up. That's what we always hear about in practice. Harry booms them, but more impressively, he doesn't hit a lot of punts that hit and like bounce 20 yards forward, for touchbacks. That's what we hear about in training camp, and that was one of those where checked up and just settled at the 2-yard line. So that was impressive. Alex, the bye being week 5 came in handy. Yeah, I mean, I usually don't like a bye this early, but I think it benefits the Bears for 2 reasons. One, they're banged up. A lot of key guys have been down. And I think at least a couple of those guys will be back after the bye, if not several. And 2, new staff, some kinks to work out. Like Ben talked about this throughout training camp. Like that first month, it's going to be about kind of learning who we are. Then ideally during the bye week and afterward, we can, really have our identity down. So, they got to figure some things out, especially in the run game on both sides of the ball. But I think this year specifically an early bye is actually a good thing. Cornelius, imagine how good our secondary would be if we had Gordon and Johnson healthy. Byard is playing like an all-pro. Tyreek could step it up. Well, let's be clear on Byard. He played like an all-pro yesterday. Before that, I think he's been having an average year at best. Now, look, he's 33. He's not going to play great every week. He's an older safety. But, yeah, Tyreek this is Tyreek's best two-game stretch in a long time, probably since the end of his rookie year. Because last year, very up and down, and really after Washington wasn't very good at all. First 2 games this year, not that good. But these last 2 games has been his best 2-game stretch in a while. So hopefully he can keep that up. And, hopefully Byard, I'm not expecting 2 picks every week, but if he could be an above-average player along with Brisker, who I think has just been solid all year. Brisker hasn't been amazing, but he hasn't been bad by any means. If he's just good, then you feel good about that. So, Kyler should be back soon. If you're in the mix late in the year, could Jalen return? That would provide an emotional lift, if nothing else. So we'll see. This is we thought the secondary could be a strength of this team in the last 2 weeks, even with some key guys out. It's certainly better than the defensive front, Colin. It's better than that front 4, no question about that.
Yeah, I'm not one to tend to enjoy defenses being built back to front, and this Bears defense is they're clearly their strengths are back 7 compared to the front 7.
Well, and the bad part about it, if you want to do glass half empty, is it's not like they haven't invested in the front.
Exactly.
They paid Montez Sweat, they paid Dio Adengbo, they paid Grady Jarrett.
Yep.
Second-round pick on Dexter, who I think's been pretty good, but
Shamar Turner.
Yeah, Shamar Turner, who I need to look into his game a little bit more. Don't know how much he really did yesterday, but I can't imagine much against the run when you give up 250 rushing. So, yeah, they got to figure that out. Moz Tanker, CBS calling the game was a train wreck. Yeah, I don't love when the Bears are on CBS because CBS is used to calling AFC games. So, you can tell it's like they haven't seen this team in a while. Obviously, a lot was made of that interaction with Aditi, the reporter. And Ben apologized for that today. He said he didn't quite understand what she said because it was loud in there, but that's no excuse. Thought he handled that well today. But, it's, when you're used to, the same 2 or 3 crews on Fox, you're like, oh, we got, the F team on CBS. Not ideal, to say the least.
All right. Keep using #Bears or Super Chat because we're going to get into the first of 2 mailbags that we got for you guys today. Again, you can ask Harry anything. Trade targets. You can ask about who you think should start at left tackle. Any question Bears related, Harry will answer. So
fire away. Joe Alt confirmed high ankle sprain, so he'll miss at least, I would say, minimum 2 weeks, but probably more like 4 to 6. Short-term IR is probably on the table.
Yeah, it said he was looking to getting a second opinion, but that is just
Rappaport says expected to be several weeks. To me, several means at least 3. Question is short-term IR or not.
Yeah, a few is 3 to 4. I feel like several could be
4 to 6, 4 to 8.
Yeah,
8 would be a lot for a high ankle, but 4 or 5 definitely possible. All right, we'll take your questions. Remember, 2 mailbags today, so fire them in the chat, and we'll answer as many as possible. I'm Harrison Graham. Coming up in a few minutes, we will get to all of your mailbag questions. So use #Bears or the Super Chat function to get your questions answered on the show. Do want to dive into a trade kind of rumor idea first, though. But before we get to all of that, if you want free and daily Bears content, even during the bye week, we're going to have at least 1 video per day. I am going to be on wedding vacation this week, but we will have at least a video per day. Turn on the notifications. Subscribe. We got you guys covered. To turn on noties, you have to be subscribed first. So hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell. We're here every single day. We got you guys covered. All right. Could a blockbuster trade be on the table between the New York Giants and the Chicago Bears? Because with Malik Neighbors going down, that is a massive blow for the Giants, but also, more importantly for the Giants, for trying to develop Jackson Dart. Because now they've got like Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton. Is that how you want to develop Jackson Dart this year? So you guys had already been asking me about this, and even our Giants host asked me about it. Like, would a DJ Moore, Kayvon Thibodeaux swap at some point make sense for all parties? Let's just get into it. I'm not giving my answer right now. I'll do that in a minute. Kayvon Thibodeaux this year's played pretty well. Marshall Green, our Giants host, he says he thinks he's playing like an all-pro. The data doesn't suggest just that, but I'm not watching every snap. So I'll trust his word on that he's played pretty darn well. PFF has graded him out pretty nicely on the season as well. Now, his pass rush win rate per PFF's data, now again, that's just how they're analyzing it, just under 11%. That's not a great number. I mean, that's kind of average. If you're, north of 12%, that's above average. North of 15, that's very good. So from how often he's winning per their data, again, it's not the end-all, be-all. He's kind of in that more like average to above average range. But he's certainly a good player, first-round pick from a couple years ago. Now, as far as his contract situation goes, you could absorb his money this year. Next year, the cap hit is $14.75 million. It's the fifth-year option. So, again, a reasonable number. So if you were to make this move, you would kind of get a year and a half out of him. And unless he just tore it up the next, second half of the year, you wouldn't even have to extend him right now. You could just play next year out and see how it goes. Now, obviously, let's talk about the DJ Moore side of this as well. He's been fine. I mean, he's been more of a complimentary piece. Clearly, Rome Odunze has elevated. He is the top receiver on this team. DJ's the 2. I still think there's ways to get him more involved. I think that the Bears have probably missed a few opportunities getting him the ball, but there's no disputing who the number 1 receiver on this team is right now, and that's Rome Odunze. So the question is, is DJ's role going to grow? Is this just kind of what his role is moving forward? And if it is, would trading him just make more sense? Well, let's get to the Giants' angle of this. Again, they got to maximize Dart's development this year. Brian Dable's on the hot seat, so a big way to keep his job is to convince ownership that Jackson Dart's the guy. And it's hard for him to develop and grow without Malik Neighbors. So, like, getting a guy like DJ Moore could certainly help Jackson Dart out. From the Bears' standpoint, if you feel good about Luther Burden III taking on a full-time role instead of being kind of this part-time starter right now, would you trade DJ Moore, get off that money, and bring in Kayvon Thibodeaux to help your pass rush, which has been abysmal this year? It is an interesting thought. It is an interesting thought to have. So you guys let me know. Would you trade DJ Moore for Kayvon Thibodeaux? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Straight up, I don't know how much pick involvement there would be. Maybe the Bears would get a D3 pick, but with how Kayvon started this year and how DJ is starting, considering DJ's already paid, it probably wouldn't be far off from a straight-up trade. So yes or no, would you make that move? My answer to this is ask me around Halloween. I think if I got offered tomorrow a straight-up trade, I would be a little hesitant. Not because I don't like Kayvon Thibodeaux, and not because I don't think he can still ascend, but like, I don't want to just brush off DJ Moore either. Like, I do think he's a really good player. And listen, if you're still asking me what's most important for the Bears this year, it's for, Caleb to be at his best. Even if him and DJ haven't had the best connection, trading him doesn't help Caleb out, at least in theory. So, again, ask me in a month. Has DJ's role expanded, or is it more of the same? Does Luther seem ready for that full-time role? Like, a lot of factors go into this. So closer to the trade deadline, I'd have a better answer for you. Right now, I'd be a little hesitant. I'd consider it, but I would still be a little hesitant at this point in time. Okay, Maz Tanker, as we get into our mailbag section now, he says, if the O-line and Caleb work out, can we focus on the running back and D-line in the draft and off seasons, please? I think, clearly you're going to attack, ideally, the positions you need the most. Now you got to factor in BPA along with that. It's always a marriage of best player available and what your needs are. That's how you want to attack it. We'll see about the O-line. Let's be clear. The QB thing, to me, unless something unforeseen happens, there's no world where they're drafting a quarterback next year. If Caleb is exactly what he's been so far this year, and I think even the haters would say chances are he'll continue to improve like he has so far, but even if he's just the rest of the year where it's pretty good, even though it's a little inconsistent still, I still think he's easily coming back, and it's a year 2 with Ben. Like I don't think there's any world where they would bail on that. So that's not even a question for me. The O-line, I mean, is the left tackle of the future on this team? If it is, great. Then yeah, you don't have to attack that position. But if it's not, that's in the mix for round 1. And obviously running back, defensive line, those are positions too. Safety. All 4 are free agents right now. So there's 4 or 5 areas they could go depending on how the rest of the year plays out. So ideally you find your left tackle and you're good there. But if not, that's got to be on the table in the first round. Detached mustache. Do you think the lack of run game and Caleb's ability to still execute win games will eventually silence the Caleb haters? It's hard to imagine a bus would have won the last 2 games. Yeah, I mean, look, like everyone has their reasons. I think some reasons are just the silly stuff. We all know what that is. Other reasons are, look, it's their true, honest opinion that they don't think Caleb's that guy. And listen, if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. Like, you're entitled to it. The silly stuff, again, we know what that is. I just can't even entertain. It's so silly. But, yeah, I mean, I just – they can't run the ball, guys. Like, Caleb in the passing game is the offense. Doesn't mean it's been perfect. Doesn't mean Caleb is just some established top 10 quarterback now. But it does mean that that's their best chance of success offensively right now is throwing the football. There's nothing you could point to that would say that's not the case. So is that enough to silence the haters that this team is a horrible rushing attack and yet you've won your last 2 games largely due to Caleb in the passing game? I don't know. But I'm excited about how he's playing, while also acknowledging that he needs to get better and definitely the run game needs to get better. Are you happy or upset that the Bears have a bye week here? They have won 2 in a row, got some momentum. I'm actually happy for 2 reasons. One, I knew my brother-in-law's wedding would be in week 5, so I was begging for the Bears to draw this bye week. Worked out in my favor. And 2, banged up right now. Like, I think it's actually a good thing to get some guys healthy and also, tinker some things that need to improve upon between week 4 and week 6. So I'm actually happy. H for happy, U for upset. You guys let me know. TJ, do you think Carolina would trade Chuba Hubbard? It's a good question. They extended him last year, so it seems unlikely. Let me see what Chuba has done this year. He had a really good year last year. This year, 4.1 yards per carry, 217 yards in 4 games. It's been okay. He averaged 4.8 last year. 94 yards receiving. He's up in that. He's already over half of his production from last year. 2 receiving touchdowns. I don't know if they would trade him. I probably wouldn't give up a premium pick for him because he is under contract. Like, he has a new contract that has started, so you would have to take on that money. I mean, a 5th or 6th, would Carolina do that? I don't know. I don't really see them trading him either because the kid they drafted a couple years ago, Jonathan Brooks, he may never play because of injuries. So that would be kind of a quick bail on Chuba, who they just paid. Top Shots 501. Did you see DJ and Rome are the 2 highest rated receivers through 4 weeks per ESPN Analytics? I saw some stat. I need to go look at it. I don't know if it's based on like separation or what. I mean, clearly we've seen Rome take a step forward. I do think DJ's route running has been better. I've seen some all-22 breakdown that would suggest that. I know JT O'Sullivan's talked about that. So, yeah, like, I don't think DJ's some bum. I think he's a good player. I just think it's almost like it's more about, like, allocation of resources, right? If you have an established one in Rome, if he continues to be that guy, if you feel good about Luther moving forward, well, ideally those are your top 2 guys. They're young. They're ascending. Does that make DJ expendable, who's making $27 million per year? Can you get a player at a premium position in here with that money? Can you get a premium draft pick to go younger and add a player at a different position of need? That's really what this conversation is when it comes to the idea of trading DJ Moore. It's not that he sucks; it's that Rome's elevated, and you got a lot of receivers that seem to be pretty good players. Hit the subscribe button. We will continue to answer your questions on this mailbag video, youtube.com/BearsNow. If you want to support the show, this is the channel for you. Text that link with a friend who's a Bears fan. We would appreciate it. All right, TJ17, a couple more here. Do you think there is any chance of Ozzy starting at left tackle? Right now, no. I mean, I think there's a chance of starting, but I think it would be at right tackle. To my knowledge, he's not getting reps at left tackle. So I think if there was a chance of that, wouldn't he have played some left tackle against the Raiders? He didn't. So right now, I would say no. In the future, yes, there's a chance. I don't think he'll play a left tackle this year, though, unless it's an emergency. All right, the Notcast. Next 6-game dubs, Baltimore and Cincy may be easy. I don't like to be easy. Look, Baltimore is reeling right now. They got a lot of injuries. That game feels more winnable than it did when the schedule came out. That's still a tall task on the road. I still think the Ravens are a playoff team if they can just kind of steady the ship here. But, yeah, I mean, Cincinnati without Joe Burrow, even though on the road, that's a game you probably feel like you should win. So, Commanders out of the bye feels big. If you can win that, get above 500, you got the Saints at home in that stretch. That's a game you should win. There's a lot of winnable games here. So, NFL plays out differently every year. Felt like a doomsday schedule. All of a sudden, it feels more manageable. That's why, we all do it. We all overreact to the schedule, but you can't predict injuries. You can't predict teams who will overachieve versus underachieve. You just never know. That's the beauty of the sport. We didn't get to your question. We apologize. Hit me up on social media at HGramNFL on Twitter and at HGramNFL on Instagram. If you're watching live, we have one more mailbag coming up, so continue to pepper that live chat, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. We'll get to as many of your questions as possible. We got TJ, World Series pick. Well, I know we got a lot of Cubs fans in here, so that would be fun. I joked around. If the Cubs make the World Series, I might have to do at least one watch party. Should I do a Cubs watch party if they make the World Series? Would you guys watch? Yes or no in the chat. Y for yes, N for no. Would you guys watch? Z Ganji's in. Jaden's in. I think I'd only do it for the World Series.
Makes sense.
I do have a 2-year-old at home. I can't be 5 nights in a row just up here till midnight, but I might do a couple. They make the World Series. I might hop on here. So, or maybe if there's like a pivotal Game 5 or Game 7 in the early rounds, maybe I'd consider it. I'll say this: if there's a pivotal game during the day, because these early rounds there's some day games.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of fun. Just hop on here at like 2:00 and do the Cubs game.
I'd be down. Get our resident baseball correspondent Jack Lauderay, producer Jack. Show me some of the baseball graphics.
He'll be live on some Red Sox watch parties. That's his squad.
If you had to guess, I don't know if you heard when I was talking about it in the office earlier, the top 2 odds to win each league.
Well, I think aren't your Mariners the favorite in the AL? Why is that, by the way? Are they just saying that
I'm not sure exactly their reasoning behind it. I mean, they do have the 2 seed, so they do have a bye. So that kind of makes sense.
I'm a little surprised the odds makers have them ahead of the Yankees just because the Yankees. I guess it's because they have to play an extra round, so naturally that increases your chances of losing. Yeah,
Mariners and Blue Jays, both teams that have the bye are 1 and 2, and then the Yankees are 3. Although they're a plus 333.
So NL, I'm going to guess Brewers are the favorite, Phillies too.
Flipped. Phillies favorite, Brewers.
Okay.
Second, which is
Dodgers,
odd that they have both.
Dodgers 3 or Cubs 3?
Dodgers 3, Cubs at 4.
Okay.
The Cubs, I mean, listen, they're
in. NL feels more open because I know the Brewers have been the best team, but, like, this is the Brewers. Like, are they going to do it in the playoffs? Kind of like, not trying to, throw a jab, but it's kind of like the Mariners, right? Like, I think the last month they've been the best team in the AL, but, like, they haven't won a playoff series in 20 years or whatever. So,
well, they won one.
Well, other than the COVID year, right?
Yeah, they won one against ironically, the Blue Jays, and then they got smoked by your Astros, so.
Yeah, so who they choked.
Yeah, but no, listen, if the Cubs make a run, I'm down to some watchies.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Okay, detached. And by the way, as far as a pick, I mean, I haven't watched a ton of baseball this year. I mean, all year before the Dodgers had injuries, it just felt like they were the best roster. But clearly, they've been kind of ravaged with injuries. I mean, I don't know. Phillies feel like a decent pick in the NL, and then I don't know. Maybe Phillies. Phillies. Is it the Blue Jays' time? Is it the Mariners' time?
We'll see.
The winner. I could see the winner of Yankees Red Sox making a run.
Yeah,
because they're just kind of 2 organizations that have been there and done that.
They could. I will say
I saw it. Giolito's not pitching in this wild card round. He's out.
So
I don't know how significant he is.
One thing that favors both the 2 seeds this year is the way baseball does their playoff format, which I heavily disagree with. No matter what, the 3 and 6 matchup plays the 2 seed. So if the 6 seed were to hypothetically win, the 2 seed plays the 6 seed no matter what.
Oh, it's not like football. It doesn't reset.
Yeah, it doesn't reset.
That is kind of strange.
Yeah, like the Yankees, Red Sox, the winner of that plays the Blue Jays, for example. And then like the Cubs, Padres, they play the Brewers. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate for those teams, but yeah. I mean, I guess that's why.
So what's the 3-6 in the AL?
The 3-6 in the AL is Guardians, Tigers.
That actually falls nicely for your Mariners. I mean, I think both those.
Guardians are sneaky.
They're hot, but like.
Guardians are sneaky.
I mean, the Tigers have they barely survived.
Tigers,
if the season was another week long, they would not have made the playoffs.
Yes, they have been in a free fall forever.
I mean, they were like on pace to have the best record in the AL, and they barely made the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. Where is Roschon Johnson? Does he have any value? He has not played a single snap offensively that I've seen, Colin. So, like.
He's about as much value as the super chat that's on screen.
I mean.
I'm kidding.
I'm not going to go conspiracy mode, but, like. Are they worried about his concussion history and they're just saying we can't ask him to be a battering ram? Like, that's just a theory. I don't know if that's the case, but, like, you would just think, Colin, with how poor the running game has been, like, I don't know, a carry every once, just try him? Like, DeAndre Swift is at the end of the game on the goal line getting the carry to score and win the game. Like, you would think if you're ever going to use Roschon Johnson, like, that's the one thing he did consistently well last year was kind of hammer those in. So I don't know what to say other than he's not in their plans. I mean,
nope.
So John Taylor, I'm torn, but I think I want to get a good or great edge or defensive tackle. We need pressure or run stuffer. Thoughts? Also, what's going on with our rookie defensive tackle? I'll be honest, I haven't dove that much into Shamar Turner. I'll try to do that. He's played the last 2 weeks. I saw a couple reps last week where he flashed, but he's a work in progress. I think that's fair to say. And yeah, in general, your defensive line across the board isn't good enough. You're not good against the run. You're not generating a pass rush. It's underwhelming. Mitchell Wren sent me a good stat, our Raiders report host. He said the Raiders, through 3 games, had given up 51 pressures. The Bears got 3 yesterday. 3. So the fact they picked off Geno Smith 3 times, you're getting no pressure, Colin. That means the secondary played its ass off yesterday. Like, it is hard to get interceptions in this league when you're not generating a pass rush. So, kudos to the secondary. Saquads, it was nice to see DJ initiate and embrace with Caleb after the blocked field goal. Was a feel-good moment. That was nice to see because there's been a lot of chatter about those two guys' relationship. DJ's not getting the ball a ton, so, like, you know, you could understand if he was a little frustrated. But, yeah, that was a good moment. Hopefully DJ can get more involved. Had a couple big catches yesterday, but still few and far between overall. Okay, are we caught up here? Okay, we will answer more mailbag questions in about 15 minutes. Do have to hop into another segment here before we get to that, but stay tuned. I do want to talk about the Bears' injury situation, some guys that could be coming back after the bye week. So we will do that next here on Chicago Bears Now. Are the Chicago Bears set to get some reinforcements after the bye week? We're going to talk about that here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Obviously, a big theme early in the season is the amount of key players that have been out. Beyond Jalen Johnson being on short-term IR and potentially out for the season, they've had a lot of guys that have gone down. Kyler Gordon, T.J. Edwards, Colson Loveland, Grady Jarrett, just to name a few. Now, the Bears' next game isn't until Monday Night Football in Week 6. So not only are you off for a week, you have an extra day and a half because you don't play until, Monday night on October 13th. So you got some time here to get some guys back who have missed time with injuries. Let's start with Kyler Gordon. Felt like he was close-ish this week against the Raiders. He practiced it in limited form on Friday before the game on Sunday, and there was some kind of, I don't know, subliminal messaging from him on social media that felt like he could play. He did not. He worked out before the game on Sunday, but they kept him inactive. It feels like if there's no setback, he'll return after the bye, and I think he would provide a major lift because he does a little bit of everything, and assuming Dennis Allen, uses him to his full potential, get him downhill, run support in the box, blitz him every once in a while. He can cover tight ends and slot receivers. You can drop him back. Nick McLeod, I think, has battled. He's a backup journeyman for a reason. Now, I will say this. These are his coverage stats per Pro Football Reference. Yeah, 7 catches on 8 targets. That's not great. But only 8 targets attributed to him in 4 games. That's not bad. So, even though the raw numbers don't look that great, I think Nick McLeod has competed, and he's been scrappy, and he's been a good special teams player. So, I really have no issue with how he's played. He's a backup. You're not going to get premium play out of a backup nickelback in the NFL. But what he doesn't do a ton of, where I think Kyler Gordon can help, especially other than in coverage as well, is run support. Kyler Gordon is willing to mix it up and kind of lay people out. I think Dennis Allen can use him on some cat blitzes as well. So I think he's back after the bye week, barring a setback in the next couple of weeks. Okay, what about TJ Edwards? So Kyler, who's also dealing with a hamstring injury, he got banged up right before the opener. TJ retweaked his hammy in the Week 2 game, so about 8-9 days after that. Is TJ Edwards on track to return after the bye week? He has not practiced since, not even in a limited capacity, whereas Kyler Gordon at least did that this past week on Friday. Now, when the Washington game is here, it'll be right at a month for TJ. Week 2 to Week 6, a month and a day if you count Monday Night Football, obviously. So, if it's not a major hamstring strain, if it's a true grade 1, usually those are anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. So he's right at 2 and change right now. You'd be on the back end of that window when the Washington game is here. So you would think if it's a grade 1, he's ready to go. If not, that probably means it's a grade 2, and that could be even a couple more weeks. So hopefully he returns. I will say this. Noah Sewell has filled in pretty well. He's been very good in run support. He's not great in coverage. He's definitely more of a throwback, downhill, kind of hard-hitting linebacker, but I think he's held his own for the most part. I've been pleased with what he's been able to do. He actually punched out that ball from Genty on that 4th down stuff. Now, it didn't make that big of a difference because they stopped. He was short anyway, but still, he punched it out, and they got a few extra yards out of it on the recovery. So he's popped to me, especially in run support. But again, he can get kind of exploited in coverage. That's where TJ is a little bit better with his instincts. But the good news is I think there's less of a gap between TJ Edwards and Noah Sewell than there is, for example, Kyler Gordon and Nick McLeod. So if TJ were to miss a little bit more time, I think you could absorb that blow a little bit more. Okay, bigger piece returning. Who do the Bears need back more? Type KG for Kyler Gordon. Type TJ for TJ Edwards. I'm typing my KG pretty easily here. I think him coming back is a bigger deal than TJ Edwards coming back. Okay, what about Darnell Wright? What's his status? And I mean that on 2 fronts. One, where is this elbow injury? Is he going to be fine? He didn't practice at all last week, so I don't know where that situation is. And 2, what position is he playing when he comes back? Because Ben Johnson talked about on Monday, we got to evaluate the first month of tape for all of our offensive tackles. It seems clear they want to get Ozzy Trapillo on the field, and if he can't play left tackle, that means he'll play right tackle. Does that mean Darnell's flipping over? This offensive tackle situation is getting very interesting because one thing I will say without hesitation, right now today, maybe it changes in the future, but right now today, Darnell Wright is the best offensive tackle on this team. He's a top 10 pick for a reason. Is he frustrating at times with his penalties? Yes. But he is your best down-to-down offensive tackle on the roster. Now, maybe the conditioning isn't where the coaches want it. Maybe the penalties are just pissing them off that they want to get other guys opportunities. All that is certainly a possibility. But from just a pure who's the best player standpoint, he is the best player at the offensive tackle position. So you kind of look at your options here. Braxton Jones, kind of left tackle only. Played left tackle only in college, I believe, and in the NFL has only played left tackle. I think he got a few right tackle reps in training camp, but not many. Ozzy Trapillo, he got some reps early in camp at left tackle. The hope was that he could get in the mix there and win that job. Midway through camp, they moved him back to right tackle. To my knowledge, he's exclusively been getting reps at right tackle, so it would seem right now playing him at left tackle unlikely. Theo Benedet, obviously been working on both sides, has done a nice job as the swing tackle. As the full-time starter against the Raiders, he played on both sides. That was a tougher ask, but, for what you really are realistically expecting out of him, I think he's been fine. Do you want him to be a full-time starter? That's a different story. Darnell Wright, right tackle only, or do you move him to left tackle? Because he certainly would have the talent and pedigree to potentially make that switch. He did start at left tackle for Tennessee, his second to last year in college. Now he was better at right tackle, has played exclusively right tackle in the NFL. This is where you kind of go, should they have just given him a few reps at left tackle in the preseason? But on the flip side, it's like, well, we had 4 other guys in the left tackle competition, and none of them just took the job and ran with it. So it's going to be interesting. Do the Bears explore a Darnell Wright at left tackle and Ozzy Trapillo at right tackle pairing after the bye week? Certainly some risk on all fronts. Moving your best offensive tackle to the left side, risky. Just kind of plugging in Ozzy Trapillo after half, 2/3 a game of work, risky. But it's not like Braxton Jones is lighting it up. It's not like Theo Benedet in his first start was like, oh, you have to keep starting this guy. So Ben Johnson said it's very much up in the air right now. So I do think this would be the dream scenario. These two guys being your starting tackles, regardless of the side. It's just going to be fascinating to see if they take that risk with Darnell and move him to the left side, considering he is your best tackle right now, and it's at right tackle. Okay, what do you guys think? Should the Bears explore Darnell Wright on the left side at left tackle? Type Y for yes, type in for no. If he's healthy during the bye week, I'd at least get him a few reps over there and just see what it looks like. But a full-on switch, I don't know. I can't give a firm answer right now without seeing how the reps look. All right, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. I'm loving playing with Bears players in my Prize Picks lineups. Caleb Williams, Rome Badunze, they've both earned me some money this season. And another cool feature on Prize Picks, by the way, is you can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app, almost like a social media app. Copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. The way Prize Picks works is simple. You pick 2 or more players, up to 6 in a single lineup. Pick more or less on their stat projections. Here's an example of a 2-player Prize Picks lineup. I took the more on both Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones passing yards this week. Dak's been lighting it up. Daniel Jones is obviously having a great season going up against that Raiders defense, which isn't that great. $20 entry to win $60 here. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, a little more injury recovery talk here. A couple other guys who didn't play in this last game, but I think should be fine. Grady Jarrett, who had been fighting this knee issue the last couple weeks, didn't play in week 4, but he did play in week 2 and week 3. You kind of figure with this bye week here, he'll be good to go after the bye. Aging player, though, so we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that one. And then obviously Colston Loveland, who the Bears have said it's not a serious injury, but they went ahead and held him out for this game. Bye week, you would think. Week 6, he's ready to go there. I also think with Loveland, his role should continue to grow and expand. He was already playing a lot of snaps the first few weeks, but I would think they want to get him more involved in the passing game. Obviously, continue to use him as a blocker as well, both in pass pro and in the run game. I'm not saying this just because Cole Kmet's coming off a bad game, but you picked this guy 10th overall. Like, he's got to be more involved in the offense, especially – not to, go negative here, but Tyler Warren's lighting it up in Indy. Like, you'd like to get Colston Loveland some opportunities and some production here, considering he was a top 10 pick. Now, don't forget, the Bears did place 2 players on short-term IR at roster cuts. We'll get to Travis Homer in a minute, but Austin Booker is eligible to return starting in that game in Washington. So he's been dealing with the knee injury that he suffered in that second preseason game on August 15th. So when they play on August 13th, that's almost 2 months removed. I expect him to be back after the bye. I think they're gonna open his practice window, start that 21-day clock, and if he has a good week of practice leading up to Washington, I assume they activate him to the 53, and he's active on game day and ready to go. I mean, what do you have to lose? These were his preseason stats in just 2 games. He had 5 sacks, 6 tackles, 6 TFLs, and a forced fumble. He was flying around. I get it. Preseason, a lot of backups he's going against, but, I mean, does anyone on this defensive line just scare opponents? No. There's some flashes here and there, but Dio Odengbo, since week 1, has not shown much. Montez Sweat, I would say, had a good game against Dallas and has been average at best otherwise. Dominique Robinson had a random sack a couple of weeks ago. Tano Passanio, who they activated, he had a sack one of the games. I'm like, okay. But this pass rush needs help in a major way. I mean, there's just no way around it. You have 5 sacks in 4 games, and no guy has more than 1 sack. I mean, it's just abysmal. And by the way, Montez Sweat is making $25 million per year. Dio Odengbo is making $16 million per year. They have 2 sacks combined. They have the same amount of sacks as Dom Robb and Tano Passanio, who got his sack as a practice squad elevation. I mean, that's just not what you're paying for. And so Austin Booker could end up providing a lift here. And it'd be one thing if, like, okay, the pass rush isn't that good, but at least this defensive line is stuffing the run. Like, you're not giving up a lot of run production. Oh, you're dead last in run defense. Dead last in the NFL. So the fact that you won that Raiders game after giving up 240 rushing, the fact that you're 2-2 despite having a major issue with your defensive front, I think is a huge positive because the secondary's played really well the last couple of weeks despite the inability for this front 7 to stop the run. Subscribe to the channel. We got Bears content all year long. Doesn't matter if it's in the season, the off season, the dog days of the calendar in late June, early July. We're providing content every single day here on Chicago Bears Now. It's free. All you got to do is subscribe right now. Travis Homer won't spend a lot of time here. He is eligible to return from short-term IR as well. We know what he is. He's not the elixir to the run game issues offensively. If they activate him, that's because they want his value on special teams. Maybe, occasionally he's in on third downs for pass pro purposes. But, yeah, I mean, you're not playing him over Swift or Monungai offensively. So I don't think that's some major lift to talk about. Special teams has been pretty good the last 2 weeks. So we'll see if and when they choose to activate him, because this one's a little tougher too. It's like, okay, you put Travis Homer on the 53. Who are you cutting? It's like, well, one spot, Carl Jones, they could cut him again easily. They could do DeMarco Jackson. Those are guys at linebacker. You could cut one of those. You wouldn't cut both. That could be one spot, but you're probably doing that for Austin Booker, right? Do you cut Tano Passanio and put him back on the practice squad? Dominique Robinson, maybe. But it's not like you have just these obvious cuts. You could say like Karan Amagaji before he went on IR, but he's on IR. You've already freed up that roster spot. So, yeah, so for a guy like Travis Homer, unless they desperately need him on special teams, I'm not really sure who you're activating him for. Maybe Nick McLeod if you with Kyler back and healthy, I guess. But I feel like he contributes on special teams too, and at least he's shown the ability to step in at nickel if you need him to. So we'll see what they do with Homer. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Hit me up on Twitter at HGramNFL. DMs are wide open if you want to talk some shop as well. Bear down. All right.
Detached Mustache says, what is your ideal draft order by position of need?
Today, I'd go edge rusher 1, left tackle 2, and I'm factoring in everything, need, and then just positional importance. Running back 3, safety 4. I mean, if you're basing it based on literally who's under contract, safety would be higher, but, you can find affordable safeties to at least fill one of those spots. Ideally, at least one of Brisker or Byard is just back next year, even if it's just on a 1-year deal. If Byard has a good rest of the season, 1 year, $5-6 million, want to come play again? Sure. If he's just solid, I'm cool with that. And, we'll see about Brisker. But I think that would be my top 4 order. Colin, I don't know how you feel, but edge, left tackle, running back, safety. It's probably my order of 1 through 4 right now.
Yeah, I mean, this could obviously change with whatever happens on the offensive line. If Darnell proves he can kind of move over there, and he's basically the same player at left tackle.
That's got the most variance because you do have bodies. So,
Right.
like, something could emerge here where you don't need left tackle. But today, if you're asking me, I think it's a pretty big need because you just don't have the answer.
Yeah, and running back too, like, it's so funny, like, because we talked about, this previous draft class in terms of running backs and, like, how deep we thought it was. Like, we thought you could get starters on, day 3. And
Yeah.
Bears ultimately didn't draft one until the 7th round. I think they could probably snag, again, a guy that they feel good about, maybe day 2 or day 3. So I'd almost have safety a little higher than running back, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just the fact that none of the safeties, none of your top 4 are under contract next year, like you mentioned. I mean, do you really trust Jaquan Brisker enough to give him a really, deal that he may command? Like,
I
his
think
injury
both.
history?
I think both him and Brisker are like their 1-year contract. Like, I mean, or him and Byard. Excuse me. Byard has already said he's year to year at this point. So, like, if he's just solid the rest of the year and wants to play for $5 million, that seems like an easy win-win for both parties. Brisker could be a little more complicated. I mean, if he pushes for a multi-year deal, like, I know he's been healthy so far this year, but we know the concussion history. He's had a good year, but it's not like he's lighting it up. Like, if he wants $8-10 million a year based on what we've seen so far in his injury history, I mean, that might just be one you have to let him go. So,
Some NFC North adjacent news: Vikings right tackle Brian O'Neill suffered a sprained MCL Sunday in Ireland. Could miss some time per Fowler.
week to week, no surgery though. That's probably a win because that was concerning for the Vikes. All right.
Yeah. Again, I mean, how's Makuba look in Philadelphia, by the way?
He's pretty good.
I mean, we talked about him a bunch. I mean, Xavier Watts in Atlanta looks pretty good. And there were safeties in this draft, too, that they just, again, like, and I understand they probably wouldn't have played over Byard or Brisker, but.
Yeah. I think the tougher one is, and look, maybe this changes quickly here. Like, maybe Trapillo gets on the field and he starts the rest of the year and there will be growing pains, but maybe, like, by the end of the year, it's like, okay, like, he's a good starting tackle. But I think the tougher one is just that trading back from 41 and trading up from that 3rd round pick and that 2-pick swap with the Bills is Ozzy. You ended up with Ozzy, Trapillo, and Shamar Turner. Now, again, it's early, but, like, Turner's played 2 games. I would say mixed results. Ozzy Trapillo has played 40 snaps. Now, again, if he plays a lot moving forward and plays well, like, okay, it's a good pick. Starting off the tackle in the 2nd round, it's like it's a good pick. But, yeah, I mean, what if you ended up with, some starting or Ariante Ursary and Andrew Makuba instead? Would that have been better? I don't know. To your point, though, like Makuba, how much now? Maybe he would be. Maybe he'd be playing nickel right now with Kyler out. Would he have been your nickel fill-in? Maybe.
He's made. I swear to God, every time I look at an Eagles game when they're on defense, he's making a play.
He's good, man. He's around the ball all the time.
Yeah. That's just one of those where, like, at least for me, like, I'm just like that one's gonna be just like, and of course he went to the Eagles.
Oh, I know.
Like, of course he did.
Yeah. All right. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Final mailbag. We'll work in some hashtag Bears on this one.
Yep.
Obviously, if there are any supers left over, we can hit those as well. But
I think we're all caught up. But yeah, if y'all want to send them in,
get
by all
those
means.
hashtag Bears questions going. We'll get those in here. And then we'll call it a day here on Chicago Bears Now because Monday Night Football getting going pretty soon. So here we go. Boots for Bears kicks off our Chicago Bears Now mailbag. Someone watches our watch party every week. Should the Bears bench DeAndre Swift for Kyle Monangai? Well, Ben Johnson said on Monday that the run game issues are not solely on Swift. It's a lot of things. He blamed himself for a lot of it, which I love to hear the coach just, kind of wear that, even if, deep down there's probably some things that are frustrating him with what players are doing on plays, including DeAndre Swift. Here's what I do know. Regardless of how we've gotten here with these numbers, these are not good numbers. And I don't even really care about the volume. I'm more so, 3.3 average. Eric Bieniemy says the goal is 4.5. You're more than a yard behind schedule there. Like, that's not good. Now, I've said it. I think the pass protection has been much better than the run blocking. So do they need to tweak some things, get Dan Roshar and tweak the run blocking schematics, how they're coaching it? I don't know. I think everything's fair to question when you're this poor from your running back production. Kyle Monangai hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities. I do think on his few carries he has gotten, you have seen some flash. Not like he's ripping 35-yarders off, but he does feel a little more decisive between the tackles than Swift does. We know what DeAndre's strengths and weaknesses are. So can I sit here and say, would I just flat out bench him and give Kyle Monangai kind of go 0 to 100? Because let's face it, Monangai's role has been pretty small. Like, it's grown a little the last couple of games, but it's not like he's gone from 0 carries to 4 to 7 to 10. It's kind of gone from 0 to 8 against Detroit, but 7 of those were in garbage time, to 5 and then to 4 against. Like, it's a small role right now. So I don't know if I can sit here and say, oh, you just absolutely make him the full-time starter. Now, if you want to go to a more 50-50 split, sign me up, because regardless of who's to blame for the run game issues, DeAndre Swift, you can't sit here and say he's having a good year. Now, is it as bad as the numbers say? Probably not, but I'm definitely down for an increased role, a notable increase with Kyle Monangai. Who do you guys think should be RB1 based on who you have? DS for DeAndre Swift, Cam for Kyle Monangai. If you want to put Roschon in there, who has 0 carries this year, have at it. I don't think he's an option for the Bears. They've kind of shown us that with their actions, but DS or KM, let us know. All right, JJ Vandeveer, Swift had a breakout game against Washington. Do you think that happens again? Yeah, he got loose on one of those toss crack plays last year against the Commanders. Remember, they hit that against Green Bay as well when he embarrassed Xavier McKinney in the open field. We know Swift is good at that. When he finds space on the perimeter, he can make guys miss. He's pretty good in space. Hopefully, right? Hopefully this is like the big, forget just Swift, just run game breakout game. Can you rush for 130 yards against Washington in that Monday night game? Because, look, let's face it, regardless of the opponent, moving forward, you're going to have some balance offensively. Like, Caleb Williams was the number 1 pick. You want to be able to lean on him, and they already are, but you can't be abysmal running the football and expect to win week in and week out. Like, it's just not a sustainable model for any quarterback, but especially a second-year player in his first year in a new offense. Like, that is asking quite a bit. Kevin, should we trade Jones at the deadline? #Bears. What happens in week 6, 7, and 8 leading up to the deadline? Is he a clear backup? Do the other guys stay healthy? Does Karan get activated from IR and he's at least like an emergency backup option? Because, like, depth comes into play here, because it sounds easy. Oh, Braxton's not our starter anymore. Let's just trade him. Okay, like, I'm not against it, but also you got to feel good about the other guys if someone does go down. So, what's the trade? Is it like the Cam Robinson trade, just like a 7th and a 6th pick swap? Like, I feel like Braxton's worth more than that. Like, I don't know if I'd just pull the trigger on that. But, if some team offers you a 5th, they get desperate. Maybe the Chargers, this Joe Alt thing, they need somebody. Like, okay, like I'd consider that. But the Bears got to figure out first who their starting tackles are. And I don't think as of filming this, they have that answer. All right, more mailbag questions to come, but I do want to show some love to today's sponsor. That is Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. It's great hitting your Prize Picks lineups because you win money. And I got to be honest, I've hit a few recently. I'm up like $500 right now with Prize Picks, and a lot of that is picking Bears players. So can't say I had that much success last year. So shout out Ben Johnson there. Some cool features on Prize Picks, including the fact that they offer stacks. What is stacks? It means you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you want to pick more on Caleb Williams' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, you can do so in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Prize Picks lineups feature 2 or more players. You pick more or less on their stat projections, and you are good to go. I got a little 2-player lineup for this upcoming week. Simple. $20 to win 60. Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones, more on their projected passing yards. Very simple there. Nothing complicated about it. Again, you can go up to 6-player lineups if you want. Tougher to hit those, but the payout is bigger if you do. Get started today. Download the PrizePicks app. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We got Evan here. Would you do a DJ for running back like Devon Achane or Breece Hall? Well, I think DJ Moore is more valuable than Breece Hall, for sure. Breece Hall is expiring on his rookie contract, so that's number one. Now, if it's like Breece Hall and a third-round pick for DJ Moore or something like that, okay, we can have that discussion. And I'm not against trading for Breece Hall, but DJ straight up for him, I think that's a loss. Achane, he's pretty explosive. I think you're getting closer there. Now, receivers have more value than running backs. Here's my question, though. Why would the Dolphins want DJ Moore back? Now, if they're projecting 4, they're probably going to get off Tyreek Hill's contract after this year or maybe even at the deadline. Okay, they could go with Waddle and DJ Moore as their duo moving forward. But, again, when we throw out these trade ideas, there is the other team to consider. Do they want to take on DJ Moore's contract if they're selling this year? I would say probably not. So, unless they just have some big picture vision with DJ, I would guess that they could trade Achane, but probably not to absorb DJ Moore. Robert D., if there is a trade during the bye, would you want an edge rusher or a running back? I mean, without specifics, I don't know. Who's the edge rusher? Who's the running back? How much did you give up? Like, these are things I would have to consider. But if you're just asking me in a vacuum, probably a running back because you're probably going to give up less. I don't want to do a big trade right now. I want to see how the next few weeks go. And I think it would also help your offense be more balanced in the short term. Clearly, you have an edge rusher issue long term, but they've also invested at that position. So I think buying low on a running back is probably something I'd rather do right now, but that could change before the deadline. Okay, if you're a diehard Bears fan, hit the subscribe button. We bring you content every single day here on Chicago Bears Now. News, rumors, preview shows, bye week changes. That episode might even already be on the channel depending on when you're watching this mailbag. So rock and roll with us. We got you covered on a daily basis. All right, Mr. Blonde, how many blue chip players does Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota have on their teams compared to the Bears? I mean, without just, with their rosters in front of me, I could just kind of rip quickly. Detroit, St. Brown, blue chip. Has Jamison Williams entered that? Maybe not, but he's a high red. Jahmyr Gibbs, I would say, is a blue chipper. David Montgomery, very good player as well, probably more red. Penei Sewell, blue chip. Aiden Hutchinson, blue chip. I think both safeties, Joseph and Branch, blue chip. They got like 8 dudes. And they got a lot of red, too. Like, they have a lot of just high-level stars, like Anzalone at linebacker. Terry and Arnold, we'll see. Cullen mentioned him in my ear, but they're hoping he becomes that. Certainly a first-round pick. Taylor Decker, really good player. He's older. I wouldn't call him a blue chipper. This interior O-line looks good all of a sudden. Like, they've hit on a lot of players. Brad Holmes, I think, top 5 GM. Is that fair to say? He's pretty damn good. Green Bay, I think they have more red than blue. Obviously, you get Micah. He's a blue chipper. They have more red. They're kind of like the Bears. It's like, who were their top-end players? They've got Micah and maybe Xavier McKinney would probably be in that category. After that, it's probably a lot of red chippers. Minnesota's got some blues, though. Justin Jefferson, blue. Christian Darrisaw, blue. Trying to think who else. Grenard, he's kind of on the fringe. He might be more red. Those D-tacs are probably more red. So maybe they don't have as many as I thought, but they have a lot of red too. So, yeah, I think Detroit stands out of these 3. Like, they've got the most blue chip talent in the division. Jake Cameron, how does Ben get the run game going? Schematic changes or this offensive line run blocking needs a rework? Well, I think those tie together. I think the run blocking struggling could be a schematic issue. Maybe they got to tweak some things on how they want to do that. Is part of it the backs? Certainly that plays a role. Is it certain play calls at the wrong time? I'll give one example. They ran a toss play to Swift to the short side of the field. Like, that's probably just not the best play call, right? Like, I think Ben would acknowledge that. So I think it's a little bit of everything. They got 2 weeks to try and figure it out and at least become respectable in the run game before the post-bye week era of this season begins. Who do you guys think wins the NFC North? Things have flattened out a little bit here. Bears 2-2, Vikings 2-2, Packers 2-1-1, and then Detroit there at 3-1. My pick before the season was the Lions, and I'm not wavering off of that. After their bad loss to Green Bay in Week 1. They have been probably the most dominant team in the NFL. So, unfortunately, I'm picking Detroit, but still up for grabs. All 4 teams in the mix here. So, you guys let me know who you think wins the division. Hit Stick 37, if Montez doesn't turn it on the rest of the year, do you think they would cut him in the offseason? I mean, it's on the table. You would hope you could find a trade even if you don't get that much back, even if you have to eat some of the money. Like, could you trade him, eat half the guarantees, and, get a 4th or 5th back? I mean, he's not a bad player, but given the contract, he is just not giving you what you need. I think the most frustrating part is, look, the sack, the pass rush production, that was inconsistent in Washington, but that's even less than what he was doing in Washington. But more so, he was a dominant edge-setting, run-defending edge in Washington. He is not that anymore. I don't know if that's impossible to get back, but that's been disappointing out of Montez Sweat. All right, last one here. DC Viper. Is Rome the best wide receiver in the league right now? Seems to be getting better each week. That's a stretch. I would say he's played like a top, you could probably say top 10, top 15 receiver for sure this year. I would say I'm confident that he's a top 20-ish receiver moving forward, with arrow pointing up, right? So like top 20, that's a wide receiver 1. Does he become a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type of wide receiver 1? Or is he more of like an Allen Robinson with the Bears wide receiver 1, where he's the Bears number 1 receiver, but he's more like between 16 and 25 than, 5 and 10 or something like that. So I think right now he's elevated to wide receiver 1 status, certainly for this team. But like, we need more, data and, production to say he's one of the best in the league right now. But he's certainly off to a hell of a start this year, and I got no complaints. He's dropped a couple passes, but him and Caleb got a good thing going, so hopefully that continues. All right, good stuff, good questions today. If you got more, you know where to find me, at HGramNFL, Twitter and Instagram. Got to catch up on some DMs still. I'll try to do that this week. But if you have any Bears questions and if you want to take in some more Bears content, I'm tweeting, I'm posting on Instagram every single day at HGramNFL. All right, we're going to get out of here shortly.
I did not realize Terran Arnold was that bad in coverage.
He's been pretty bad.
I did not realize that, so hand up on me. Although DJ
Reed's been pretty good. I wouldn't call him blue, but no. He's a red.
You said Branch. Jack Campbell's ranked 11th.
Yeah, he's French. I'd probably still put him in red, but
David Montgomery, 9th out of 53. Qualified running backs.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him a blue chipper, but he's a good player.
Yeah. I just was
same with Laporte. Like, they've got like 7, 8 blues, but they probably got like 20 reds. I mean, like,
reds, yeah.
Terry and Arnold might be their only starter that's not at least a red. Now, you could say TBD on like a couple of those interior offensive linemen, but they've been pretty good recently.
Yeah.
Like, Ratledge looks like a stud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all the starters I could have said.
I mean, they're really that's a loaded team. Goff, I mean, you could debate, is he blue, is he red? He's probably red because, like, I don't think – to me, if you're blue, you have to be able to say, hey, if I just plant this player on any team, he's going to be one of the best. If you put Goff in Tennessee's situation right now, he's better than Cam Ward, but, like, he's not what he is in Detroit. You know what I mean? Like, Mahomes wouldn't be as good in Tennessee as he is in Kansas City, but – he'll find a way to be functional.
Yeah, yes.
I think that's the difference. That's why I'd still have Goff in red. But the only true blue quarterbacks right now are probably like the top 6 or so. Mahomes, healthy Burrow, Lamar, Josh. I'd put Herbert in there. Stafford's still in there for me. But like, that's probably where it stops, right? Like, is there another blue chipper in there? I mean, hopefully our guy gets there, but certainly not there yet. I do think Caleb's starting to elevate, like, where he's at least like, okay, he's going to get into that red status. Like, he needs to be at least a red.
Some people had him in. What was the lowest one? Fringe starter. What was the because you had blue, you had red. What was the order again?
Yellow was next.
And then after that it was
orange. Orange was like unknown, I think. I'd have to go back and look.
A lot of people had him in orange.
Who, Caleb?
Yeah. I think, like, maybe not.
Orange is a combination of
whatever that
starters that probably wouldn't be starters on a lot of other teams, or just unproven, where it's like he's played 1 year in the league.
Unproven. There you go.
So that's I think that's where I play. I don't even think I placed him in red because it was just like, we don't really know. He's a starter, but like, we don't have enough info. I think he's definitely like trending toward being in that red firmly. It's hard to say he'd be firmly red yet, but I definitely think that's where it's pointing. And then, once he gets there, stacks a lot of games. Question is, can he get to blue like next year and moving forward? So we'll find out. All right, we got to get out of here. Monday Night Football doubleheader. I'm going to have a reaction on 4 Verts. So, Colin, will you throw the 4 Verts subscribe link in the chat?
Yeah,
I'll have a video tonight after these 2 games. Little Justin Fields breakdown, if anyone's interested in that. We'll certainly react to how he plays. But the pair of 0-3 teams, I do think this is kind of a sneaky game to watch if you're a Bears fan, because does one of these teams start a fire sale? The loser of this Jets-Dolphins game. And they both have running backs that could be interesting, Devon Achane and Breece Hall. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. Then obviously got Bengals and Broncos. So
big games here tonight. A lot of futures to be determined tonight, let's say. Safe to say.
Yeah, I mean, like, if the Broncos smoke the Bengals, like, do they kind of, well, like, what do they do? Do they just keep riding this out with Browning? Or do they, like, I don't know, do they try and get Kirk Cousins? Do they just punt on the season? Because it's kind of hard to do that when this is a big year for Zach Taylor. So, yeah, it's going to be, I think that game's important as well. All right, we are out of here. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Again, no live show Thursday. I am at my brother-in-law's wedding this weekend, so I'm flying out Wednesday. But we will have content on the channel every single day. If major breaking news happens, I'll either cover it remotely or Cullen and the boys in-house. We'll have you guys covered. So do not go anywhere. We have plenty of content to come. I'm also filming a bunch of videos tomorrow, so we'll have some things covered off. But my name is Harrison Graham. Hit that subscribe button, and we will see you guys soon. Bear down.